lifting has taught me the definition of strength, and it doesn't necessarily mean the numbers on the bar or what PRs you have. What strength means to me is what you can accomplish, what you can overcome, any adversities that are thrown your way, how you handle them. That's what strength means to me.
Welcome to Empowered by Iron, hosted by Dr. Kristen Lander from Fiercely Fueled Nutrition Coaching and Mary Morton from M&M Coaching, remote coaching for the novice athlete. Together, we are empowered by iron. Hey, Carly.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
Good, thanks.
So tell us everything about you. Where do you live? What do you do for your job? Like, who are you?
Okay, so you introduced me. I'm Carly Gray, and I am a Canadian powerlifter. I live in Cambridge, Ontario, which isn't too far away from Toronto. I don't currently compete because of my first meet experience, but where I work, I'm a technical writer for a financial company, so lifting isn't my full-time job. Maybe one day it will be, but right now I'm not that competitive with the sport, but most of my free time is dedicated to training, so.
Awesome. So, you contacted us because you have this incredible first meet story. So, we just would love to follow up and hear what happened at your first meet.
Everything.
All of it. We want to hear all the
Okay.
details.
I'm going to spoil the ending and just come out and say it, and I broke my arm at my first powerlifting meet. I didn't even get to the bench or deadlift, so I broke my arm my third squat attempt.
How did this happen?
That's the story we need.
Okay.
Lead us up to everything. Take us through,
Okay.
like, you're getting ready, it's your first meet. When did you find
Okay.
it?
Well, my friend introduced me to powerlifting. He actually was going to compete at the first meet that I was also doing, but he convinced me to sign up. And prior to signing up to this meet, I mainly trained in a power building sense. So I was interested in strength training, but I also like the aesthetic side to gym going. So I was mainly a power builder, but this was the first time where I exclusively was training for strength. And he said, hey, you're pretty strong. Why don't you jump in and do your first powerlifting meet? And I always find that I train best when I'm training for something. So whether it's a 5K or a weight loss goal, I need something concrete to look forward to, and that really lights a fire under me and gets my training up and running. So I signed up for this meet May of last year and started training exclusively for it. And September rolls around, and I'm 1 week out, and I am wrestling with some shoulder issues because I recently transitioned from a high bar squatter to a low bar squatter. And if you've ever low bar squatted before, it does put a lot more stress on your shoulders because you are packing that bar between your delts and your shoulder blades. So that was something that I wasn't really used to as a lifter. And I feel that was a major contributor to all of the shoulder injuries that I was experiencing 1 week out from competing. So frantically, I make physio appointments, I do rehab, I stretch, scour YouTube for any quick solutions to this, and end up competing anyway, despite the pain. So I'm warming up, things are feeling not so great, so I revise my attempts. I actually missed my first attempt for depth, so I re-attempted it at the same weight at 165, and my third attempt was at 185, something that I could do for a triple during training, and that's where you hear this unbelievably loud snap.
Oh.
And the whole gym, it was at a high school gym, and the whole gym just says, like, oh, fuck, like, what happened?
Oh, shit.
My fiance, who was my handler, was recording it, didn't see what happened at first because he was recording it from behind. But you guys had Gracie V on.
Yep.
One other podcast, and it was exactly how she described it. Was I didn't realize anything had happened to my arm or me personally. I literally thought the barbell broke, and I didn't feel anything at all when it first happened.
Wow.
Just a really loud snap, and I knew something was wrong. So I bailed, and the spotters caught me. And I re-racked the bar, and then I realized I can't move my left arm away from the bar. And then I look, and then something's not moving right.
Oh my gosh.
And all I could do is look at the spotter next to me in complete shock and just say over and over, I think I broke my arm. So yeah, then everything after that's kind of blurry in my memory. But I had like a first responder like holding my arm the whole time before the ambulance came. And when the ambulance came, the paramedics got me in a sling, and I was wheeled out in a gurney and got a standing ovation from the audience. And got some morphine, and then I was good.
So, did you break your upper arm, your humerus, or the lower part of your arm?
I broke my humerus, yeah.
Oh my
humerus. Yeah.
Gosh. That's
and
awful.
I broke it out of town. It was actually, the meet I was going to was 2 hours away from where I live, and it was actually past Toronto in Oshawa. And Saturday in the ER, you don't want to be there. It's so busy. And everyone boasts about how Canada has such a good healthcare system because it's free. Well, I wish I could have paid for some better care because I was casted in the middle of the hallway in the ER. So it was a good thing I was doped up on morphine. Yeah, for sure.
Oh my gosh. Now, did you wind up having to have surgery? Did I read that?
Yeah, so I did have surgery. I didn't know, though, until a week after I broke my arm. Oshawa, the hospital didn't tell me that I needed surgery, even though they took x-rays. And that was a whole other fiasco I had to deal with, was calling them and trying to get my x-rays transferred to Cambridge Hospital where I live. And if you've ever gotten x-rays when you have a broken arm, it's the most excruciating thing ever, because they have to twist your arm in places that it doesn't normally want to twist when it's in a state like that. So I had to get them redone, and yeah, very painful. 0 out of 10, do not recommend.
Yeah.
I am nauseous thinking about this. The thought of broken bones just makes me nauseous.
So the thing that I think is incredible is that this was your first meet, your second lift at your first meet, right?
Well, third
it was your third
attempt.
attempt. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay, your third
I
attempt.
failed. I bombed out my first attempt, but
That's
yeah,
right.
so third attempt on my second goal lift. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, and you're back to powerlifting now, right?
Yeah, so I am almost 7 months post break,
Okay.
and I am noticing that I'm getting more and more back to pre-injury levels of strength, which is really good. Besides my squat is still really conservative, just because it was the thing that injured me in the first place. So
Right.
I'm back to high bar squatting, and the safety squat bar is my best friend right now.
Yes,
If you've ever
definitely.
seen one at one of your gyms, yeah.
Yeah.
It's the only way that I can squat comfortably, pretty much.
Okay. So what was that recovery like?
Yeah.
It was brutal. It was so brutal. And I'll be the first to admit that I was the biggest baby throughout the whole entire thing. Because, the gym was my solace. It was the place where I would go to when I was stressed, when I was angry, when I was sad. It was my comfort, my security blanket. And that was just ripped away from me in a time where I really, really needed that comfort and that working through process. So I took 3 days off of work before I was bored enough to go back and type with one hand on my laptop from home. And after the surgery, I was off the gym for 2 weeks, and I was back in a gym, 2 weeks after I got my cast off. The first day back was very emotional because I could not do anything that I could do before. And I remember I didn't have a coach when I was prepping for this powerlifting meet, and immediately after I broke my arm, I'm like, I need someone to help me through this because I cannot create my own programming for bouncing back from this injury. And I remember looking at my coach that first day back and just like sobbing because I was not to my standards yet.
Yeah.
So the biggest lesson that I had to learn in this whole recovery process was just to be patient with myself. And it sounds so obvious looking back at it, but at the time it was almost impossible to get out of that rut in my training career.
Yeah. So Kristen, you've probably heard, so she underwent her double mastectomy, and I was thinking about it today. Like, I super commend both of you because I can only imagine how hard that is. Because I just like you and me. I mean, it's my solace. It's the place that I go. Mm-hmm. That's where I can just let things go and be okay, and it's fine. I don't know what that's like to be ripped from me. So I can only imagine. I mean, I bow down and commend you guys because that's hard.
Yeah, it is challenging, and I can completely relate to what you're saying, Carly, because I have times in the gym where I feel like I'm never going to get my strength back. Like, that's the one thing I had going for me when I was really strong.
Yeah,
and it's like, I feel like I tried to do an overhead squat and I can't even get the bar like over my head. It's like out in front of me. And I was like, I'm never going to be able to snatch again. And you just have to, it takes a completely different mindset. And one of the things I talked to Mary about, and I'm sure that you can relate to this, is like, you just have to have this different mindset of like, okay, well, I got strong once before and I just have to do what I did before and get there. And, like, it just takes time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the biggest part for me was focusing on what I could do versus on what I couldn't do. There were so many things that I wanted to do and I just couldn't. My arm was not cooperating. I could have zero weight on my left arm, so that had me really limited in what I could do at the gym. So instead, I poured myself into my career. I poured myself into hanging out with friends that I've lost touch with. So I filled my time with other things, but it took me a long time to realize that I needed something to preoccupy myself other than worry about who it was so hard looking at Instagram and seeing everyone else crush their PRs, and here I am like sitting at home just finishing up my marathon on Netflix. So it was just so brutal to just fixate on that, and it's difficult to change your mindset, like you said, towards what you're able to do in that very moment.
Yeah. Speaking of social media, Mary wound up having to take over our social media for a while because I was like, I can't handle this. I can't see all these people doing this stuff. Like, I can't do it. It was very frustrating. Yes.
Yeah, and it was one of the few things I could do with one arm was scroll Instagram. It only takes one finger to click buttons, but and it was good though because I did share my journey through Instagram, and I've met so many people. I'm not alone. You would think that you would break your arm during bench or even deadlifting before you would break it in a squat. But I've met probably 3 or 4 other people that have done the same thing squatting. So while it was I wouldn't say demoralizing, but it was demotivating to look at Instagram at times, but it was also a place where I could share my journey and hopefully inspire other people that are experiencing the same injury that, right now it might seem like you can't do much, but have patience with yourself and look where you'll be 7 months from now.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So, as you know, our podcast is about how women's everyday lives have been directly influenced by the barbell or by the grind of training. How has lifting changed your life, like either physically or mentally or even emotionally?
Especially during that time where you couldn't lift.
Right.
Like
that's the testing grounds. That's the proving grounds when you can't do it.
how do you take those things you've learned in the gym to get you to that meet? How do you apply those to your life?
Well, I'll speak to physically. Lifting has absolutely changed my life. I was always overweight as a child. I was the type of kid that got rewarded with chocolate bars when I was a good girl. And I was the oldest grandchild, so I was always spoiled by my grandparents with cookies and chocolate bars and ice cream. So needless to say that I was overweight for the majority of my childhood, and it only took one bad breakup with a boyfriend to say, enough's enough. I need something to preoccupy myself and stop being so sad and hating my body all the time. So I joined a gym probably 5 years ago, and the rest is history. And I've lost probably 60 pounds. Obviously, I'm up and down as a power lifter in a weight class. So I've lost probably 60 pounds just lifting in a power building sense. In personal aspects of my life, lifting has made me, I'll borrow some of Jen Thompson's sentiments to that question, where it's made me a much more confident person everywhere else in my life. Whether it's at work, in friendships, I'm a lot more outgoing. I used to be the person that would always wait for people to invite me out or wait for someone to text me. Now I'm the person that texts them and see if they want to go out for coffee or whatever. And part of this recovery process, lifting has taught me the definition of strength. And it doesn't necessarily mean the numbers on the bar or what PRs you have. What strength means to me is what you can accomplish, what you can overcome, any adversities that are thrown your way, how you handle them. That's what strength means to me. And that's the biggest piece that I've taken away from this whole experience, recovering from that injury.
That was basically a life PR for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's awesome, and I think that a lot of us can say that just the lessons that we've learned in the gym have almost prepared us for bad things that happen in life. Because, I mean, bad things are going to happen in life. We're just, the accidents are going to happen. So you're going to make mistakes or whatever. And I think that training allows us or prepares us to deal with them in an appropriate way instead of trying to run with them or run away from them, or how are we going to face this head on and get through it, because the only way out of it is through it.
Right. Mm-hmm. And it's, I mean, not to quote Justin Bieber, but everybody gets high sometime. It's just your drug. You have to get your drug of choice, whether we turn to alcohol or we turn to drugs or we turn to relationships. We women who are empowered by iron, we chose and we focused on the iron, on strength and all the aspects that come, like asking someone if they're done in the squat rack or taking your space and be like, no, it's not okay that you come in and try to steal my weights. Those are my weights. I brought them here. Don't touch them. Being able to be confident enough to say, this is for me,
Yep.
Yeah, I've gone from someone doing it to get guys' attention to doing it just for me and myself and my own personal goals. It truly has transitioned into a passion of mine, and that's why I do it. Because I'll be the first to admit that I'm probably the most mediocre lifter out there. My numbers are not that impressive in a powerlifting sense at all, especially in my weight class, the 63 kilogram. But it's something that I do for fun, and that I do because I like getting stronger in and out of the gym.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I think that's the important thing, is it doesn't matter how good of a lifter you are or not. It matters, do you love it, and are you willing to put in the time, and are you dedicated to it, and will you stick with it when it gets hard? And obviously we can say that you will stick with it when it gets hard.
And that you're dedicated. I mean,
right, because you were back in the gym shortly after you got your cast off and working away.
Yeah, I mean, I could have, a lot of people said that they just would have given up, but it was never an option for me because it was all I could think about while I was sitting at home starting another new series on Netflix or playing video games or whatever. It was the only thing on my mind, and I was so jealous of my fiance who would go to powerlifting club without me. I was almost envious of him, get mad at him, but it wasn't his fault.
Right.
It was just because I was just so jealous that I couldn't spend my time with the one thing that I really am passionate about.
Right. So do you have any meets on the horizon, or are you still just trying to work towards getting back to normal?
I've decided that I do want to compete again. I went to the Arnold in March, and that really lit a fire under me and inspired me to really pour myself into my training 100%, because I do maybe one day want to grace the stage at the Arnold. We'll see. I don't know if I'll qualify ever,
Yeah, you
but
will.
it's a floating goal in my mind one day. But I'm getting married next year, so I think I'll get married first and then think of meets after that.
Yeah. So your focus in the gym right now is just to just get strong and to recover as
Yeah,
best you can.
exactly. And I have the right tools and the right community now. Whereas before I was pretty much doing it by myself. I mean, I trained at a commercial gym, so there weren't too many girls who power lift in commercial gyms. So I had two ladies that I saw on the regular there. But programming wise, I did it all myself with a few advice from my friend that convinced me to go into powerlifting. He did some programming stuff for me too. But now I have a coach. Now I have professional, well, semi-professional. They compete all the time. Powerlifters and strong women, strong men, that give me advice, pointers, provide a shoulder to cry on, or celebrate with me for the little PRs that I do. 85-pound bench, woo! So
That's
it's a
impressive though after
little,
having broken your arm.
Yeah.
yeah. So, and I just got a rep PR today for 85 for 6 reps. So I'm
Good job.
celebrating the little things as they come because 7 months ago it was not in my radar that I would be at this level this fast,
Yeah.
for
Well, and
sure.
I think that's a testament too to how important community is in lifting,
Absolutely.
and having a community of people that you can train with and that lift you up when you need it and that you can lift them up when they need it is super important. And I think that makes strength sports so awesome, is just the friendships that you make in the community, whether it's like the small community at your gym or globally, just being a part of that sport. It's awesome. I've not seen anything like it before.
Yeah, even digital communities, like I said, all I could do for the majority of my time was share my journey online, and I've met so many people where I've gotten advice from, or I get kind of emotional speaking about Gracie because a lot of the times where I would get discouraged, or I had a lot of difficulty locking out the elbow when I first got my cast off. And Gracie has been a huge inspiration for me. And whenever I would get upset or finish training and start crying because I'm still not happy that I'm not strong enough, I would think, what would Gracie do? And I would say probably stop being a bitch and just suck it up. So yeah, so Gracie was like a huge inspiration to me, knowing that she's been through the same type of injury.
Yeah.
Even though I've never met her in person, just knowing that I can go to her YouTube channel and see, get training inspiration, because she was training in a cast for the longest time. She was just absolutely badass, and I wouldn't have even known about Gracie had I not ventured into the girls who powerlift community, or watched YouTube or listened to podcasts or anything like that. So the digital community has been a huge help to me in this whole recovery process as well.
That's cool.
Yeah. The digital community can be great and horrible at the same time, especially if you just like hit a PR and you're like, oh, what did my friend do? And you're like, oh,
Ah.
shit. Damn it. So if you could offer yourself, I don't know, a year ago, One piece of advice. So about a year ago, you signed up for your first meet, you said, right?
Yes.
If you could offer that version of you one piece of advice, what would it be?
I would say just have more fun with it. I think I had a very competitive mindset going into it because naturally I am a competitive person. I don't know if you're into astrology, but I'm a Scorpio and I'm very passionate about things, and I'm known to be very competitive. And I just did not have fun prepping. Like that 1 week out, I did not have fun at all. I was cutting weight, and I shouldn't have even been cutting weight. It was my first meet. I wasn't going to be like on the same level as most of those girls at all. So it was more so for ego that I would even lift in the 63 kilo class. But it's a strength sport and not a weight loss sport. And I just wish that I would have shook myself by the shoulders and said, have fun. It's your first meet. You have your whole life to compete. And I think it probably still, the break probably still would have happened had I said that. But I feel like I would have been a lot happier and less stressed had I not cut weight the day before the meet.
Yeah. I made that mistake too with my first meet. I was like, I want to cut weight. And now I'm sure you've heard me say, like, don't do that for your first meet. Just don't. It's not worth it because you're probably not going to, like, what is the point? As I always say, like, what's the point of cutting weight for your first meet? Because like, are you trying to get first place? Because you're probably not, because it's like your first meet, unless it's a super teeny tiny meet and there's no one else in your weight class or whatever. But always, that's funny. I've heard a lot of lifters say that over the years, like, don't cut for your first meet. And it's like everyone has to go through this. And then all of us that have done it are like, don't do it. Don't do it. And people still want to. But
or you could be like me and like, oh, I'm going to cut. And then the minute I feel weak, I'm like, no, nope. We got to stop right now.
Well, that's...
Yeah, it only took like a day of salad and rice cakes to realize that cutting weight was a mistake.
That's funny. Well, I think that your advice is really good. And I think just having fun is such an important aspect of the sport because it can get way too serious, way too quick. And then it's like, well, what is the point? This isn't my job. I'm not getting paid to do this. I'm not like, why are we, it's supposed to be fun. Why are we doing something that's not fun? So I love your advice.
Yeah, that's awesome. So where can our listeners find you, Carly?
You can find me on Instagram. As I said, my handle is Carly Gray, and Gray has 3 Y's at the end. Or if you're ever in Ontario, you can find me at Lil's Gym in Kitchener. That's where I train. Very friendly group of people, very diverse strength sports. We have everything from just overall athletic people to powerlifters to strong men and strong women. So if you're ever looking for somewhere to train, that's the place to be.
Awesome. Sounds like a good gym. Cool.
Yeah, you guys should stop by.
I've never been to Canada, but it's definitely on my list of things to do. I want to go to Canada, and then I want to go to Ireland.
Okay.
Maybe not in the same trip, but like I want to make it up to Canada.
Those are your 2 travel goals.
Travel goals.
Awesome. Well, Carly, thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing your story, and thank you for reaching out to us too. We love to hear from listeners. So.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for having me. I can't wait to hear the podcast when it's ready, so I have something to listen to at work again.
Well, be forewarned. Listening to yourself on a podcast the first time is weird.
Oh, yeah. No, I record meetings of myself all the time, and my voice just annoys me, so I'm used to it, though.
Go ahead.
No, you go.
Our first couple episodes, I was like, Mary, we can't put these online. These are do I really sound like that? That's awful.
And then you realize you do, and you move on.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, well, thank you so much.
Thanks, ladies.
If you like what you heard today, please help us connect with other female badasses. We would love if you would leave us a review on iTunes. Tell your friends about us. Visit our website, which is empoweredbyiron.com. You can find each of us on Instagram. Mary is at MaryMo_92, and Kristen is at Kristen with an I, Lander. Future topics will include nutrition, programming and training, mental health, and just general female badassery.
Yeah, so let us know what you want to hear. If you have any input, that'd be awesome. And guys, this is Empowered by Iron. We want it to be a resource and an outlet for women who are finding their confidence, their independence, and their strength through iron. So thank you for listening. Thank you for checking in. And until next time, I'm Mary.
I'm Kristen.
And this is Empowered by Iron.